Hi everyone! Even though Jiraiya was a real pervert, I think he was probably the best thing in Tsunade's life.
106だの。
何がですか？
106センチ。
Tsunade is a fascinating character with a breast size directly proportional to her strength, which is actually quite frightening. Before meeting her, we heard about her strength and that she was a mighty woman. Tsunade is strong in every way, physically and morally, although it's essential to know that our strength doesn't make us unconquerable. Sometimes the strength is born from weakness. I think Tsunade is this way because of everything she went through. She had a very tough life and it seems that she had to deal with it independently, but it isn't so. There was always someone near Tsunade who dreamed about entering her heaven and being with her forever. By the way, Konохамару was the first one who entered her heaven, and he got out of it reasonably quickly. And there are quite a few who have also been there, except for Jiraiya, although he was the only one who honestly dreamed about it. As you probably understood, today we will take a small tour around Tsunade's scenes to show you how Jiraiya played an essential role in her life. Enjoy the video! Strength is often associated with doing something alone, but I think differently. I know that everyone needs somebody one way or another, regardless of their strength. In my opinion, love and learning generated by mistakes make us stronger, and this is where Tsunade and Jiraiya are great examples. We'll start with their first acquaintance.
はじめましてだな。俺ジライアってんだ。ラブレターは後でいいぜ。よろしく。
Orochimaru and Jiraiya formed a team with Sarutobi under her guardianship. Tsunade was destined for greatness because of her last name, Senju, as she was the direct granddaughter of Konoha founder. Orochimaru was a genius who learned everything very quickly. Despite the bloodline, Tsunade understood the difference between them. Jiraiya was the opposite of the two of them because he didn't have a status last name or a great talent, but he had an equally important quality, his determination. Jiraiya has confessed to Tsunade that he liked her. He often asked her out for a date, but she always refused to go. Although it was nice that he never pressured her and Tsunade always reacted calmly about it. Here's the confirmation of it. The boy thinks she doesn't want to be with him, but very soon, by the will of fate, he will get to the tops of Miyaboku Mountain. One time, Jiraiya returned and showed them everything he learned, demonstrating that he caught up with them and even surpassed them somehow. Tsunade was amazed by it, and she couldn't believe it. He wasn't Senju like her, and he did not have the talent like Orochimaru, but after seeing his progress, Tsunade greeted him with a smile and showed him that she was sincerely happy for him. It made the trio more solid because they saw that they made each other better in a certain sense. But there was another critical moment. Tsunade tells him she's in love with another guy, Den. And what's most interesting is that when Jiraiya hears about it, he never gets in the way of their relationship. Jiraiya never bothers her again, and that is the critical moment because he really liked her, but her relationship with Den was more important to him than anything else. So when he finds out that Tsunade is in love and is in a relationship, he respects her and never brings up the topic of his affection. But very soon the situation changes. To our regret, Den dies, and here is what I want to tell you about it. Tsunade has two significant losses, her younger brother Navaki and Den. When she finds out about her brother's death and her boyfriend's, Jiraiya is by her side both times. He accompanies her without saying something inappropriate and gives her space to grieve her boyfriend just like she grieved her brother. It all happens during the same war period, and these losses drive the team, becoming their culmination. I remember a small scene very well happening during the Second Shinobi World War. Tsunade was very upset then, and do you remember who supported her and was by her side, knowing there was very little he could do to reduce the longing and pain she was experiencing? After the war, Tsunade completely separates from Konoha. She's so far away from home that she doesn't even know when her teacher gets killed, who was murdered by her friend, by the way. Tsunade completely immersed herself in alcohol and gambling. Her routine of getting drunk to numb her pain was so vicious that even Shisui, who was closest at the time, couldn't help her. And do you know who dragged her out of this vicious cycle? It's Jiraiya. He comes along with Naruto and they convince her to become the 5th Hokage.
Tsunade!
Jiraiya?
After several events, she returns to Konoha, the home she abandoned, to forget everything, and because of her friend, she didn't just get home but also took the Hokage position. It's important to remember one thing. Orochimaru offers her to revive her younger brother and then, in exchange for restoring his hand sealed by the third Hokage. She doesn't accept his terms, but she thinks about it sometimes, and here's the proof. Jiraiya gives her a medication which does not allow her to control her own chakra. Jiraiya knew that she must sacrifice herself to resurrect her loved ones. Just look at how Jiraiya gets her out of this abyss. Everything I told you matches in one paragraph. Tsunade didn't realize the importance of Jiraiya in her life, and it was not because she was a terrible person. She couldn't do it because of many problems in her life. Not only did she come out of the abyss, but she just became the Hokage, the leader of the village, which was in a complete mess because they were captured by Orochimaru, who destroyed the third Hokage. Also, right at that moment, the Akatsuki were hunting for Naruto, who carried the dreams of her younger brother and Den, so she simply couldn't think of anything else. It's like being on a train from which it is impossible to get off. Once Jiraiya walked up to her office and asked her to have a drink in the middle of the day. It has always amazed me how Jiraiya was inviting her.
まな板つなでが今や巨乳のほかげだ。今や50のババア。
This funny conversation scene in the bar showed their great relationship. I highlight only key events, but having that kind of trust and bond means they've been through a lot together. After Jiraiya and Tsunade talked for a while, Jiraiya told her he knew where the Akatsuki leader was, and that he planned to attack him. At first she didn't agree with him, but when she heard Jiraiya's arguments, everything changed once and for all. Tsunade knew she had no right to stop him because she understood how he felt at that moment. Tsunade knew that Jiraiya had nothing but failures from her point of view. He lost everything, and his last hope was to do something valuable in his life, protect the child from prophecy. Tsunade had no choice but to watch him act. There is a scene displaying this event perfectly. At that moment she knew she was about to lose him because she felt something terrible was about to happen. She knew that everything he ever did for her was done without even asking for anything in return. Jiraiya never shamed Tsunade with what he did for her when he was with her. He never blamed her for anything. Jiraiya did it because it was born inside of him. After all, he loved her and just wanted to see her happy.
じゃあ、お得意のギャンブルといこう。お前はわしが死ぬ方にかけろ。お前の賭けは必ず外れるからの。
The scene is incredibly symbolic when Jiraiya tells her, "Are you going to bet I will die? Because you always lose in your bets." Remembering this, Tsunade had no other choice but to say goodbye with tears in her eyes. It will be the first and only bet in her life when she wins, because unfortunately Jiraiya died. With all this context, considering the fact that she didn't know Jiraiya's fate, let's go back to watch the first scene where you will see everything. Unfortunately, Jiraiya didn't come back. These tears have incredible value. Tsunade is an amazing woman and Jiraiya carried great responsibility for it. Do you remember who eventually made Tsunade cry? Who was the trigger? It was Naruto. We are talking about Jiraiya's godson, the boy who carried dreams of her deceased loved ones. Listen to what he said to her.
エロ仙人が5代目ホカゲになってたらTsunadeのばあちゃんにこんな無茶はさせなかった。
Naruto's words didn't break down Tsunade for long. Later she found the strength to go on because she needed to carry the legacy of Jiraiya and protect her village. She had a new responsibility, and despite all the pain she went through, she picked herself up and kept going, which showed the great strength of Tsunade. I think Jiraiya was the most important person in Tsunade's life, because he increased her strength and made her powerful.
長き、いいものやろうか。姉ちゃんには秘密だぞ。こら！
私実は気づいてるのほら君が言ったことあまり考えたいと思えなくて忘れてたんだけどもう目的にも動的にも相的に生きて衝動的な総称的な創業的なままじゃダメ と人生最後の日を前に思